days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, right at you. You give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.
He is right now the go-to. Everyone's going to him to talk to him about all of this election stuff, and I'm grateful that he, with all of the busyness, decided to come here today. He is a distinguished professor of history at American University. He's an historian, 12 books strong, and his latest is Predicting the Next President, The Keys to the White House 2024. Here we are with the great Allan Lichtman. Welcome to the Karen Hunter Show. Hi.
Thank you, Karen. Sorry to be a little late. I'm swamped.
I can imagine. Listen, first of all, thank you. It's a pleasure. We've been talking about you, but it's better to talk with you.
Yes.
And so I had a dream 5 years ago that it would be Biden-Harris. Biden would step out, hand the baton to Harris. She would be president. That happened sort of this weekend, minus what we'll know in November. But how much does this hurt? So let's go to the 13 keys. Number one is a party mandate. We seem to be getting a party mandate. That is happening with Vice President Harris. Would you say that?
No, that's based on 2022 U.S. House elections, and the Democrats lost that one. So that one's false.
Okay, so that's off the. Okay, so number one is not in play. Number two, correct. No primary contest, meaning you don't have anyone going up against you. How does this work? Number two, how does number two work?
This is the critical key that could spell the difference between victory and defeat for Democrats. You know, misguided, foolish Democrats and journalists like the Washington Post editorial board, who have no track record in predicting elections, are trying to push the Democrats toward an open convention and a big party brawl. A huge mistake. That would cost the party the internal party contest key and put them one key closer to defeat. Whereas if they get smart and unite behind Harris, that secures that key and doesn't bring them closer to defeat, but closer to victory. So I am telling every Democrat out there, get behind Harris, avoid a party brawl, and secure contest key two.
Well, it looks like that's happening. I think Nancy Pelosi coming in. I'm not sure why Barack Obama isn't, but we're going to talk about him later. But with Joe Manchin, who first said he was going to throw his hat in the ring and then got mollywopped, which I was happy about. I participated in the mollywopping on social media. He has bowed out. It doesn't look like she's going to have too much because all of the potential, the Gavin Newsoms, the Gretchen Whitmers, the J.B. Pritzkers, they've all backed her.
Well, let's hope. I'm waiting for Barack Obama. Why is he sitting on his hands?
Because he orchestrated Biden leaving
the charge for Harris.
Yes. Well, he's a complicated Leo. All right, let's go to number three. Incumbent seeking re-election. We just lost that, right?
We lost that one, so that's two down.
But so Professor Lichtman, even though it's a Biden-Harris ticket, can she get grafted in?
No.
To that number three?
Biden would have to resign and make her president. Being VP does not do it.
Okay. All right. So let me put an X on that one. No third party. There is no significant third party. Well, I just saw a tweet from RFK, who has dead worms in his brain. He said he's the only one that could beat Trump. But then I just saw him on the phone with Trump cutting a deal. So I'm like, is he a serious third party? Is Jill Stein, is Cornel West, are any of these people serious to you?
The only one who could turn the key would be RFK Jr., and he's got to stabilize in the polls. The only time I use the polls, because I have to, at 10% or more. So that key is a question mark, but probably leans slightly towards the Democrats.
Okay. So I put a question mark. Number five, strong short-term economy. The economy is not recession. So that's a yes. That's a yes. Okay. Strong, number six, strong long-term economy. Real per capita economic growth feels like, yes, that's a yes. Yes, the stock market is raging. It's done better than it's ever done. Bitcoin was over the weekend, which is wild. It's doing wild stuff as well. This is great. Housing market isn't bubbling. Okay, number 7, major policy change. Major policy change. I've heard you on different programs say that this is a no for the Democrats, but I'm going to challenge
I've never
you.
said that.
Okay,
It's
you've
a
never said
yes
that.
for
Okay,
the Democrats.
it's a yes
Big
for the Democrats.
changes
Okay.
from
Okay.
the Trump administration to the Biden administration in almost every realm of policy.
Okay. All right. I apologize for my incorrect assessment. Okay. So major policy change number 7 is a yes. No social unrest at 8.
Still undecided.
Okay, that's
Mark.
a question. Question mark. Because we had that with the Gaza Strip protest on the campuses. That has quelled in the midst of all the other chaos we've had in the last few months. Number 9, no scandal.
No scandal. They've been trying
scandal.
to pin a scandal on Biden for 4 years and failed miserably.
Okay. Number 10, no foreign or military failure.
Uncertain. That's another
Okay, that's question mark. Question mark. Number 11, major foreign or military success. That's
another question mark.
Question mark. Okay, because we're looking at Ukraine, we're looking at Israel, which we're somewhat involved with, but not. How do you assess military success or failure in this current climate?
Be something that is very splashy. It can't be the day-to-day conduct of diplomacy which the public does not pay attention to. It's got to be something significant and splashy, like the Camp David Accords under Jimmy Carter, or the dispatch of Osama bin Laden in the first term of Barack Obama. That's why right now I have it as a question mark on both of those, but I'm waiting to see if, against all odds and the obstructionism of Netanyahu, that Biden could broker a ceasefire and hostage release in the Middle East and shake up those keys. That remains to be seen.
Now, 12, charismatic incumbent.
No, clearly this is talking about a once-in-a-generation inspirational candidate like FDR, and the Democrats, that one is false.
I'm going to push back. So can we not kind of, because this has never happened before. LBJ, he stepped down. It was a broker convention. It was wild, right? Now we have this where there's literally a baton being handed from the sitting president to his vice president. She's actually very charismatic, Professor Lichtman.
No, she doesn't fit the FDR or the Ronald. Remember, she tried to get the Democratic nomination in 2020, and it was a pretty bad failure.
Yes.
So she is not one of those once-in-a-generation candidates who soars above everybody else. Whatever you may think of her doesn't mean she's not a good candidate.
No. I'm gonna say to you, watch.
All
because
right.
let's revisit this. I'm gonna say times dictate how people step into those things that you're talking about. Barack Obama couldn't sell a book until he did that, until he was at the convention. Couldn't sell. His book was out of print. Okay, nobody bought it. Okay, this is one of those where I want to come back to you. All right, so number 13, uncharismatic challenger. Now we can argue with this one too, because I think Trump is uncharismatic, but you think he is a cult leader.
Remember,
I'm putting words in your
it's
mouth.
not what people's opinion is, it's how I define the key in my system. Everyone's free to develop their own opinions, their own predictions, but if you're going to use the keys, you got to stick to the keys. And this means you have to be a broadly appealing candidate. You can't just appeal to a narrow base. Like
Right.
Ronald Reagan and Franklin Roosevelt were both broadly appealing candidates. They won 6 presidential elections in overwhelming landslides. Donald Trump has been in 2 elections, and he lost the popular vote by a combined 10 million votes. So, there were lots of Reagan Democrats, lots of converts for FDR. I have yet to find many Trump Democrats.
So this is actually a yes. This is actually a yes. Okay.
This one is true.
All right, so where are we today? Allan Lichtman is here, distinguished professor of history at American University. He's created the keys to the White House, the keys for success. He has not been wrong. He's predicted every election since 1984, except for 2000, which we talked about, which actually you were right. But then Florida, you couldn't predict that Bush's brother would be governor of Florida and that they would do some shenanigans with that Supreme Court that Bush's daddy sat Clarence Thomas on. Couldn't predict that.
Right. I think I was right about 2000. I proved that in my report to the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, which is still on their website. You can look it up. So where do we stand? The Democrats are down the mandate key. They're down the incumbency key. And they're down the incumbent charisma key, although we could argue about that. But let's, be conservative here. They're down 3 keys. There are 4 undecided keys. Third party, social unrest, foreign/military failure and success. Presuming Harris is the consensus nominee, 3 out of 4 of those uncertain keys would have to fall against the Democrats to predict their defeat. Possible, but not highly likely. If the foolish Democrats don't make Harris the consensus nominee and have a party brawl, they're down 4 keys, and only 2 more keys would have to fall to predict their defeat.
How many keys do they need to have to predict victory?
Well, the way it works is kind of the other way. If fewer than 6 turn against them, it's a predicted victory. That's why I said with 3 keys down, 3 more would have to fall. But with 4 keys down, only 2 more would have to fall.
Got you. So it looks good.
It looks positive, but I've not made a final prediction. I will make a final prediction after the Democratic convention in late August.
Allan Lichtman, when did you become this person that, delved into the interest? When did you become the person to do this? What inspired you to become the key master?
Well, I'd love to tell you I became the key master by ruining my eyes in the archives and deep contemplation. But if I were to tell you that, to quote the late, not so great Richard Nixon, that would be wrong. In 1981, I sort of stumbled into being a predictor by accident when I met the world's leading predictor of earthquakes, Vladimir Kailas-Borak from Moscow. And he suggested that we collaborate, use the methods of earthquake prediction to predict elections. And of course, being brilliant and foresightful, I said, no, we're not. Earthquakes may be a big deal here in Southern California. I got to go back to DC. Nobody cares about earthquakes. He said, no, I solved earthquake. Yeah, right. So eventually we became the odd couple of American political research, the Soviet geophysicist and the US historian. And to develop the keys, we reconceptualized presidential elections in geophysical terms as stability, the White House party keeps the White House, earthquake, they're booted out. And with that in mind, we looked at every American presidential election from 1860 to 1980. Remember, this is 1981. And that analysis was based on, indeed, the methods of pattern recognition that we used in earthquake prediction. And that study is what led to the 13 keys to the White House, which could distinguish between stability and earthquake, and our 6-key decision rule.
My days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, you give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.